Hi, this is Tom from True Cave Aquatics. Just sitting here watching some of my snails. One of my black devil spike snails up here towards the top of the tank. There are like 4 or 5 of them up here most of the day, hanging out here and all along the top. One of them just kind of slipped off a minute ago. But there are like 5 or 6 of them all grouped together up here earlier, hanging out. There's another one over here. This one just dropped down a couple of minutes ago. And I was watching this big mystery snail over here bulldoze its way through some of the vegetation to get to the catappa leaf. Another one over here that I mistakenly called, I don't know why I called them apple snail the other day in one of my videos, but yeah, these are mystery snails. I watch a lot of videos. I know I've watched some on apple snails and other invasive snails here recently. Maybe I had that on my mind, but thankfully Father Fish showed up and corrected me on that very kindly, and he's a gentleman. But yeah, this is one of them here. There's a lot of snail inside that shell. Surprised how much of that snail body comes out. Covers a lot of territory on that substrate. But this is my 75-gallon planted aquarium. It's a deep substrate tank. It's Father Fish inspired, but it's not a Father Fish tank at all. I was watching KG Tropicals today and on a video, and the husband and wife team there, they put out a lot of great videos. I watched lots and lots of them, and they're a fun couple. But the wife had Diane Walstead on her channel and interviewed her, and Diane Walstead had a bunch of those, like 3 or 4 of those little bowls with substrate in them and plants and stuff. And I've never really watched any videos about Diane Walstead or made by her, really. Be a couple at the most. Anything I've kind of learned or heard about her has been through other YouTubers or on fish forums and on Reddit. People have, YouTube videos they've made on their Diane Walstead tanks or whatever. But I thought, well, this is a good opportunity to hear from her, from the lady myself. And I guess I had an impression of what she was doing just through what I heard on YouTube videos and fish forums, but I was kind of surprised and had to stop and rewind a little bit and hear again some of the stuff she said. But I guess when she was really young, she had a fascination, she said, with mosquito fish and tadpoles, things like that, and that her mother kept tropical fish. And later on in the video, she said she used to have these big tanks with cichlids and stuff in them, and those tanks, she did different, and those tanks had filters. I was a little surprised, and then she mentioned that she just wanted to move into something that was easier for her, easier to move around, I believe she said. And she went back to small aquariums with guppies, and then on to these smaller bowls. And she talked about the substrate she used and the plants she used, and then when it came to the fish, she said, I really don't have any experience with those little fish. Oh, wait a minute. I backed it up, and she said, yeah, I don't really have any experience with those little fish. And what I'm doing with these bowls is setting them up. No, they do not have filtration, and I put the substrate and these plants, and I put little red Neocaridina shrimp in them. she's keeping some red Neocaridina shrimp in these little bowls. And the subject of water change came up. And if she's had any problems with these bowls, she said, yeah, when she had them too close to the window, and they got direct sunlight, the water turned green, she got a bunch of algae. And also in the beginning, she had to do a lot of water changes, even up to 90% water changes in one of those small bowls because of the ammonia to nitrates that was leaking from the substrate. And that she would do water changes on those bowls for a few weeks until they settled down before she added any little red cherry shrimp in them. So at least I got an opportunity to hear from her myself on those subjects. And when the subject of big tanks came up and filters, she said, oh yeah, the big tanks, they're different. They're much different. And yeah, those tanks use filters when you're using aquariums over 18 inches, 2 foot tall, the wide, the big tanks. She said, yeah, those use filters. They need those filters they use those filters for circulation, if nothing else. But anyway, that was very interesting, and it just goes to show, because there's so much misinformation in some of these fish forums, and people that just don't dive any further than a YouTube thumbnail that says stop changing your water, or don't feed your fish, you're killing your fish, and never change your water, things like that. And then they go on the website and they say, yeah, so and so says never change your water, but that's not the case. And it just makes me wonder, especially when you hear from those people themselves, and that's not what they're saying at all. Father Fish, he wants, nature in your aquarium. He teaches you how to introduce that. Biodiversity. I mean, he stopped by to remind me about biodiversity. And it's in here. It was in here a long time before I even realized it. And it wasn't until I got a digital microscope and started looking at the water column and like, good Lord, all this stuff in there. And in the substrate even more. There's more activity going on in the substrate than there is in the rest of the aquarium. And I mean, I can identify seed shrimp in there because I got an order and put them in there myself, and they're still dancing around and multiplying in here, doing their little thing, further breaking down fish food and waste that isn't eaten up by the fish or the snails or the shrimp. And there are people that I have a lot of admiration for and respect for on YouTube. I've learned a lot from. Some of them I've mentioned, some I haven't. I'm definitely not an expert on anything. And I'm not here to say, oh, look at all my fish and shrimp and everything's great and I get pretty red plants and do everything my way. I don't even know what my way is yet. Every one of my tanks is different. But I was watching one the other day. I've watched a lot of videos, and in one video he was basically just addressing aquarium lighting and the effect on plants and power value and the light's ability to reach down and all the way to the substrate, and the different LEDs and the colors and the spectrums. And during that video he brought up, not that I care, but I mean about the brand name, I just happens to be Hygger. I'm using Hygger lights on all my aquariums. I had 2 of them up here and I took one down because I was getting too much light, and it was making algae grow in here, or helping algae to thrive in here. It's gone now. But in that video he specifically brought up Hygger and said, you just, don't waste your money. They just don't have the spectrum and the intensity to grow plants like this. They're a waste of what you want to do. Unfortunately, when it comes to lighting and how important it is, you're going to have to break down and buy these more expensive lights. And I was watching a video today, same person, same channel, talking about a completely different subject. And when he got around to lighting in the aquarium, he actually brought up higher lights again. And said that even with a higher full spectrum light up here at half the intensity that it's capable of, provides all the light you need, plenty of light to grow your aquarium plants. So, which is it? They're no good. You need to buy more expensive lights. They don't grow plants. Or they're fine, even at half intensity, and they give your plants what they need. I'm just curious why this serious contradiction. I don't know. I'm not going to call them out by name. There's no point in that. But I'm just saying, that's why I watch so many different YouTubers, so many different channels, so many different opinions, whether it's substrate, water parameters, plants, fish, snails, shrimp. And I gravitate towards the ones that specialize in those. I've got Neocaridina shrimp in here. Pretty red ones, blue ones, multicolored ones, some black ones. I put some purebred yellow ones in here. And you know, they're breeding in here. They've been in here for almost a year now. And they're all doing great. But I'm not the shrimp guy. I'm not going to tell you how to set up a shrimp tank and breed Neocaridina shrimp. You can go somewhere else for that. I'm going to pretend to be that person. Even though I'm having success with them, I'm not the snail guy. I'm not the fish guy. I'm not the plant guy. I'm just growing them in my aquarium. And having pretty good luck at it so far. I've incorporated all the things I learned from Father Fish and some other people. And in the beginning, that's the direction I was going. I had lucky bamboo plants up here, like a dozen of them over here, some palms here, some potho plants, some ivy plants that would grow up all up here. I had plans to put some hooks and just let them grow all over the place, and they were doing amazing. Filtering my water, and I had some different floating plants up here. So yeah, I had all that going on until I added shrimp. And I don't care, my very best effort, everything I tried, they were finding a way out, because that's what they do. And eventually I took the plants out of the top, because I was bound and determined to keep shrimp in here no matter what. And yeah, I even used like plastic wrap and saran wrap around little holes. I made these holes here for my airline tubes with the wood burner, so they were just the size so the holes would just barely sneak through there. I'll be damned if they still didn't get out. I put saran wrap, and I still have some on here, around my filter, and they still managed to get out. And I bought those Amano shrimp for a specific reason. Sometimes algae will grow on here, and it'll kind of feather out into the aquarium, and the shrimp will get on there. Occasionally I'll open this filter to change the flossing or whatever, and there'll be live shrimp inside of it. They were getting in there through the intake, so I put a pre-filter sponge on that, and I designed this with the plastic grating and rubber bands overlapping that stuff, and just making the holes too small for the shrimp to get in. They get like 4 layers it took. And still, even now and then, they'll climb up where the water comes out, and they will work their way up in there, and I'll find 2 or 3 little shrimp alive in my filter basket. I just net them out and toss them back in there. See, I didn't buy shrimp that color, but I have shrimp that color now. Black with a white band and black on the tail. And here's one of my mystery snails. Zooming away over here. I just watched him come from all the way over here. And he's made it from all the way across his tank almost. They're pretty quick. They're a lot more active than I thought them to be. They're pretty fast for a snail. They cover a lot of territory. They have a big footprint as far as their body. And I've had a couple of rabbit snails breed in here. I was checking out one of them in the 20-gallon tall today. It's over doubled in size since it was born. I know the other one's in there too. I just can't find it right now. But yeah, I'm just having fun, and I'm setting up tanks, and I got a video that got well over 2,000 views the other day, and that was exciting. Some of my videos don't have much views at all, and I got new subscribers, and that's always good, and I really appreciate that. And I'm looking into analytics, what it's going to take from me on my part to encourage people to watch